I'm really nervous sitting in amongst such an illustrious panel, which has really got great accomplishments. The way we have, in fact, put together this panel is with this thought that yesterday we had a small session on marketing where Ishan Raina and Anurag Batra had participated. They brought in a different aspect to marketing, mostly from the traditional communications perspective. And today we must actually look at this session where some of the not so often used media or not so well understood media can be used and leveraged to bring in tremendous marketing advantage or to remove the marketing disadvantage for small companies when they compete with the bigger companies. And I want this panel to be really very interactive and lively, not only with the audience but amongst us also. So I would like the discussion or the monologue between us a bit limited. I would start off with Dilip on my right by asking him to detail one example which really stands out in his memory. A tremendous amount of buzz if that example created on the PR side. It can be a live case study of one of your clients.
Of course. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I usually get, for very good reasons, professionally tongue-tied when I'm asked for a specific live example. The reason is partially because of confidentiality, but more significantly, it is because of what I call professionalism. I actually very rarely, hands-on, manage an entire operation from beginning to end. And it must be that way. In any large communications exercise, you have to have vertical specialists who look at strategy, who then implement and then deliver media, and then monitor and change track, comes back to strategy. So we have to go through this cycle several times. But since Rajeev asked me for a specific example, let me give you the example of a small enterprise, which today is actually quite a large enterprise, but for reasons of client privilege, I will not name the client, who is a designer. And people will think that designers have it easy. All they have to do is display some models with skin on the ramp, and then they get instant publicity and they become recognizable brand names. The fact is that the world of semi-high fashion, because there is no such thing as high fashion in India, in my view, is a crowded space. Because the barriers to entry are none. The standards of judging or deciding are almost individually figured out. And the fact is that at one point in time there was a certain undescribable media feeding frenzy for fashion. So everybody thought they could get into the business and get visibility. We had the opportunity of dealing with somebody who had not a very distinguished academic record at the National Institute of Fashion Technology, and came to us saying that I need to be a well-recognized name. So we worked patiently, pragmatically, and hopefully quite methodically with the person, and then realized that to make that big leap into the space where the person would be recognized, you needed to do something. And in this case, we chose to do something which was a very high-risk option. And it's not something that I would recommend to what I would call an Aam Aadmi practitioner of this. So high-risk venture. We chose to apply for, then announce and indicate that this fashion show would be held at Lodi Gardens, including printed invitations. Everything went well till obviously one of the major newspapers blew the story and said, how can an archaeological monument be used for this? Fact is, we had a standby location on a very faraway farm, which was 1/100 the cost of anything that you could do in Delhi. And the entire fashion show, after 1 or 2 days of media feeding frenzy, became a stellar event in something at some remote farm. Objective achieved. Fashion designer became a byword. There was no criticism about the product. Product was, even though I say it myself, mediocre at best. But the fact is that the person became or got what that person wanted, which was a very quick ramp up to recognition with very low spends. The fashion show was covered beyond expectations because it had become controversial. Is controversy the answer? I'll leave that thought with you. In my view, it is not the answer. It is a very risky proposition, and one that is best not attempted too often, and also you can do it too often and then ruin the market also. So I would say that to answer the bigger question, that is this a case study of what traditionally happens? Yes. Using a variety of devices with very small budgets, you are sometimes able to ramp up and get visibility. There are other ways, there are many techniques that are being used. But I always say, ask the first question. What is it you're trying to achieve? If you don't know that clearly, you don't have a hope to use publicity or any marketing in the appropriate way. So I'm going to stop here and then jump back in rather than expend all my thoughts in one shot.
No, definitely. I think Dilip has made some very relevant points. And controversy, or sometimes, PR is almost like riding a tiger. If you get it right, it can work wonders for you, because it brings in tremendous amount of credibility, because when the press writes about you and writes about you in glowing terms, it is much, much more believable and credible than any amount of advertising which you can get. And as they say, he's an old practitioner. जब प्यार किया तो डरना क्या, तो जब PR किया तो डरना क्या. So one has to play on the front foot. But you need to get your product right, your messaging right, everything behind, what your marketing product or service right before you actually reach out. Meena, you have really mastered, so to say, the art of, PR as well as collaborative marketing, and your brand Astro Yogi has been almost created, as I understand, on the basis of collaboration and PR. How did you go about it?
Well, I think it's really a privilege and legacy hour, because when we launched Astro Yogi, we were a company that wasn't funded. The .com bust had taken place, so we really didn't have many choices. And so what we did was we reached out to a lot of the partnerships that we could, that were potential partnerships for us, and said, look, we've created this product, but frankly we have no money to, to give you in terms of, sales. But what we do is that if you can lend us your branding, your traffic, we are happy to, give you this entire channel partnership. And this worked for us because, today we're partnering with MSN in 5 countries, with Yahoo, with Google, and this went, and it was a very slow process, because when you're not paying for something, when you're not paying for that particular relationship, then there is there's a complete struggle that goes into actually getting somebody to buy into it. Because just because it's for free, no one is saying, okay, please come and give it to us. That it doesn't work that way. So, so it was a very slow process, but it's a worth exploring process, because a lot of people, will say that, you need to have deep pockets to market. We don't. In our case, we had no pockets, so I think that's how we actually took it.